Friends, it is quite late on a Monday evening. Today is the 11th of September, and I finished a long day at work. Actually, it was a good day at work, and I had a lovely visit with a friend tonight, and I had in mind to re engage with my podcasts today. This is a week after I made a significant disclosure. So, like about a week ago, I made a significant disclosure about a court case I was involved with, heavy themes in that story. I posted that video on my YouTube, so go ahead and check that out. I'm going to try and pin that video so you guys can watch it. But to get to the point, a week later, I wanted to give some time just for those of you who wanted and were interested in watching the video that I posted with a disclosure about my experience this past year in court and the circumstances surrounding it and how heavy they were. But the key point of all that I wanted to get to is this, and this is like one of those stories that people will listen to and say, wow, did that really happen, and how significant and momentous was it? It really was all of that. It was significant, it was momentous, it was affecting in so many significant ways. And so I don't want us to get lost on why I shared that story. It was significant, yes. It was impacting. It was rattling. It's one of those things that I wouldn't wish on anyone else, because it can really shift a person's trajectory, especially for the worse. So I acknowledge that. But the point of it is not to say, wow, what an amazing story that was, but more so it was along the lines in a different way that says, how did I make it through that? How did I survive? But not only survive, how did I thrive through that? How did I come out on this side, I guess for the most part, being unscathed, despite how scathing that experience was? And for me, I'm in the season right now where a huge part of what makes sense for me is living with integrity. And why I am so big on this theme of integrity, and why I want to continue honing in and exploring and diving deep into this theme, is because it has been so transformative. It has been so transformative in my own experience personally. I am not the person who I once was, and I'm so thrilled about that. I think as time passes, most of us want to see and experience growth and change in our personal lives. We want to be a better version of who we are. We want to be more competent. We want to be more efficient. We want to be more accomplished. We want to see things in the rearview mirror that show progress, not regress. We want to bring more value. We want to experience the beautiful things in life. And I feel I'm in that space now. I'm in that space. And the past few years of me honing in and working at becoming a person of integrity has really helped carry me through this past year specifically. It has been the kind of experience where, as I've gone through it, there's so much gratitude. So I guess the heart of what I'm trying to say is, because I've invested in pursuing and living with integrity, and it's not that I'm acing it, I'm growing in it. I don't think I'll ever become a master at one who walks with integrity. I'm going to fumble my way. I'm very much human being. But as I continue to pursue living with integrity day to day, it has opened up new vantage points for me where I feel free and liberated. So I just came through a really crappy year of some intense stuff that was going on. And even as I reflect on that, I felt free in that whole process. I had clarity of conscience. I had commitment in the things I was pursuing in life. I had clearness of purpose. Like, I knew what I was aiming for, and I was able to still engage with my world in the sense where I wasn't bogged down, I wasn't debilitated, I wasn't shut down because of the narrative that was being purported and that I was having to address. That was so transformative for me. And that was transformative, not only in the past year, but in the build up to this past year. I'd gone through some significant events in my life that had enabled me to experience this sense of freedom. And so this is why I want to share that with you guys. I want to share that with you guys specifically, you young men, because I remember what it was like once upon a time to be in that space where I felt like I didn't have a voice because I lacked confidence. I didn't feel like I could actually be who I was because I felt really ashamed of where I was in life and what I was doing and what I was believing and how I was acting. I felt that debilitating sense that I couldn't really be my authentic me, because if anyone ever found that out, I would be done for. I would be shut out, I would be rejected, and that was a very fearful context in which I wasn't sure I was ready for. So I feel emancipated. I feel like I've won my freedom because I've committed to living with integrity. And my dear friends who are listening, and I appreciate you still listening, because I imagine by now you've already listened to that previous video, and I wanted to give some time for you guys to watch it and say, do I really want to follow you? Do I really want to continue to roll alongside you? Because it's the kind of story that isn't for everyone. There are many who will listen to that story and say, oh, I didn't realize that this is part of your forecast or your history. And knowing that now, you don't feel like we're a really good fit. And I said, hey, that is most likely the case for some of you, and I want to wish you well as we part company. But for those of you who are still here, who have watched and said, no, I'm still here for a reason, I want to tell you that there is freedom to be found even in your own story. Listen carefully. I think there's freedom to be found in your own story if you were to commit to understanding what integrity means for you and how you're going to live and navigate in your life going forward with integrity. It's such a big deal because when you experience the commitment of living with integrity, no matter what your background story is like, no matter how shameful it is, no matter how awful it is, no matter how it may paint you in a really bad light, committing to walk with integrity frees you from the power that shame holds you in. It frees you from the power of the fear of being rejected, or whatever fear it is that keeps you saying, I can't actually let people see who I truly am. Committing to live in this zone, it really is transformative, and that's why I want to share my story with you in all its goriness, in all its lacklusterness, in all its awfulness, because perhaps when you hear my story and contrast yours may be worse or may not be worse than my story. But the point is that integrity, living with integrity, pursuing integrity, committing to walking with integrity is what's going to set you free. It's going to set you free to be in a different space that helps you live life on purpose. It was such a sweet visit with this friend that I was having tonight. We were sitting on the balcony here behind me. Outside this window behind me is a balcony that overlooks a beautiful city skyline of downtown Calgary. I'm so grateful for this place. But as we were enjoying the beautiful weather, dinner, and just good company, we were reflecting how wonderful it is to experience what most people don't get to experience. And what is that? This ability to be in the present. You don't get to be in the present. You don't get to enjoy all these beautiful things until you commit to living with integrity. First of all, being true to who you are and what that means. I don't live for anyone except for myself now. I like living on purpose according to the values that I espouse and find translate for me in a really powerful way. I like thinking for myself and figuring out what are the things that really mean a lot to me and how can I live according to those? How can I communicate those? And then how can I share myself in a real way with those around me in a way that I don't have to regret. One of the things I was sharing with this friend is I don't regret the time I spend with the people I get to spend with. I want to make sure the time is invested well. It's so important. And so why I enjoy talking about this is because it translates for me in a really powerful way, so that I could come through a whole year facing the charges that I was facing and know that it wouldn't affect me in any way. In fact, I was even ready. Like, I was preparing for the worst case scenario, and I was getting ready for the outcome that could even find me behind bars in prison, which is so surprising for me. They're like, what? And this, like, that doesn't, but I was even prepared for that. And as I prepared for that, it wasn't in the category of, oh man, I guess my life is over. No, it was like, no, my life is still has so much meaning and purpose. And as I engage and get ready to walk into it, wherever it is, even if it's walking behind bars, I'm still gonna live with integrity. I still know the story that resonates as true internally. I still know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And external stories of what people are talking about me are, they are powerless, because I believe the story that I know to be true for myself first and foremost. And that's the story that I find really compelling, because I'm living with my integrity. This is something that no one can take away from me, and I'm so grateful for that. So grateful, because that means now you are in control. You're the one who holds the cards. You have the power. The whole world could speak ill of me, and I would say, let it. It's like water off a duck's feathers for me. Like, it doesn't grip me. I'm not living for anyone anymore. I'm living for me, and I'm living in that zone where I can see myself in the mirror and say, yeah, you're being true to yourself. You're being true to what you stand for. You're being true to the values that you espouse. No one can take that away from you, regardless of whatever they're talking smack about you or trying to put you down. I remember when I was on my when I was creating content before, one of the things I knew that enabled me to be ready to post online was that there was going to be haters who came, and they're going to try and throw as much hate as they could to try and rip me apart and bring me down. But the thing that I knew that they did not know is that they were going to fail right from the outset, because the power that they were trying to exert over me to try and break me down was ineffective. It was ineffective. It had no hold on me. So as they tried as best as they could, it missed the mark. I was still able to do what I do and show up as I show up without any sort of hindrance that way. That's like one of the big blessings, outcomes of what it's like to live in your integrity. You have the superpower that no one can take away from you. So, again, my big point in this monologue tonight before I go to bed, it's late. I really should be in bed. I should have been in bed maybe like a couple hours ago, but I wanted to make sure I posted this video. It's a bit of a ramble, so thank you for sticking through with it. But the heart of it that I want to share with you is that there is freedom to be found when you commit to living with integrity. I want to model what that looks like for you. I want to model it not as one who is exploring it for the first time, but one who's been practicing this for a few years now. And I feel like I know what I'm talking about, and I'd love to encourage you to explore, if this is something that's new for you, what it could look like. Because when you commit yourself to this way, you start embarking on something totally amazing. And so that, I think that would be really, really brilliant. Brilliant, I think. I want to reach specifically young men who are where I once was. Young men who feel they don't have a voice anymore. Young men who feel beaten down, who feel like heavy with guilt, who feel a tremendous sense of shame that they think they could never dare to let anyone come in. I want to reach young men who feel like it's game over. I want to reach you young men specifically because I don't want to see you staying in the zone where you you feel you don't have options, I want to say I could see such opportunity for you. I could see such freedom for you to expand and be who you were made to be. And I want to walk alongside you. I want to walk alongside you and speak some words of hope and encouragement and comfort that could enable you to experience something so transformative in your own setting. For me, this is real. I'm playing for keeps. I'm playing for keeps, and I want to help you get to a place where you see transformation for yourselves. So towards that end, young men specifically, but people in general, young men specifically though, I would love to hear the questions that you have on your radar, the things that you're scared to ask. And so if you would be willing, send me an email at the email address I'm about to give you. It's biniam*1, the number 1, at gmail.com. That's Biniam, my name, Biniam*, the number 1, at gmail.com. Send me your thoughts, your ideas, your questions, your confusions, like all the things that you would love to ask but you have never felt you could dare ask someone. I would be happy to be on the receiving end of those, because as I put out this content to inspire and encourage you towards living with integrity, I want to speak your language. I'm not confident I know how to speak to you quite yet, but I want to do well in speaking to you specifically. So send me an email. Let me know what's on your radar, what would really serve you well in what this could look like, or where the pain point currently is and what doesn't make sense for you. I would be really honored to be that confidant who could walk you through this process and could inspire you for something totally transformative, where not where you become like me. That's not my aim. I want you to become like you, who you were made to be, but I want to help pave that pathway so that it translates in a way that makes sense to you. I hope that makes sense, but that's what really drives me. So yeah, I'm playing for keeps. I'm playing for keeps in wanting to win your hearts, your minds. I want to earn that trust. And I want to say it is possible. It is possible that you can experience this transformation that enables you now to walk with confidence in the world, that enables you to express your intentions without feeling that sense of like guilt because you know there's ulterior motives. I want to help you to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. This is what I had to do for me. I want to help you to be able to see yourself in the mirror and like what you see. Let me give you a quick example, a very vulnerable personal example. A couple of weeks ago, I met this beautiful girl and expressed interest in dating. And after a couple of weeks of like exploring what that connection could look like, it became evident that this wasn't the best match. Once upon a time, I would have been desperate to try and make it work. Because, I mean, this girl was attractive and I was so hoping that it could be. Once upon a time, I would be bending over backwards and not honoring me as I tried to pursue this connection because I thought that was most important. But now I'm in a space because of walking with integrity and valuing who I am and what I bring to the table, where I was saying, yeah, she's attractive, but if it's not a good fit, I am more inclined to say no thank you and wait for that amazing match. That comes only because I've done the hard work in, first of all, valuing me even more than desiring a relationship. Excuse me. A relationship is a beautiful thing, but not at the expense of who you are. For some of you guys, you may be in relationships where you're thrilled you're in a relationship, but you don't feel like you can be yourself. You hear what I'm saying? You don't feel like you can be yourself because you have to be a facade of something that is expected of you. And so you're in this relationship, you're investing in it, but you're not being who you truly are. And you can't speak honestly or truthfully to this partner who you're trying to build something with. And that's where I once was. And you're not able to do that because you don't know who you are in the first place, and you don't know how to courageously advocate for yourself and say, no, this is what means a lot to me. And so for many of you, you're probably in these relationships or commitments that are really draining you, right? And I don't know, that doesn't sound like an amazing existence. So for me, it was a sad thing when I called and had this conversation that enabled this beautiful woman. I mean, she's a wonderful person, but it just wasn't the right fit for both of us, right? And we had that conversation, and I mean, there's some sadness in that too, but there's a way that I protected myself, and I'll share with you in time here how I sort of walk with integrity even in my dating life, for example, whereby I can be upfront about my intentions. I can lay out my cards and say, here's what I'm after. And I can also say, actually, as amazing as this could be, it's not the right fit. Because, first and foremost, I love me and I love what I've become. And I can say that with integrity. I can look at myself in the mirror and say, no, I know what I stand for and what values I want to bring to the table, especially when expressed in a relationship context. And that's an amazing thing when you're able to do that. And anyway, I see I'm really rambling here, friends, and I'm trying to bring this to a close because there's lots of time to share with you some of the insights that I wanted to pass along. But again, my big idea tonight that I want to share with you, there's freedom to be found when you commit to walking with integrity. I experienced freedom to have that conversation with this beautiful woman and say, this is probably not the right connection. Let's find that hell yes for us, right? I was able to experience this past year that freedom from the fear that I once had of what people are going to think of me if they knew this really horrendous part of my life or my history. I really don't care anymore. I share that now because it's my commitment of integrity in engaging with y'all and saying I want to connect with you, but part of me building trust with you is letting you know where I've been, because for some of you that may be a deal breaker, and I want to have that conversation now before it's too late. And that's important for me. So yeah, I hope all this makes sense to y'all. But anyway, those are some of the thoughts I've had on my mind. So thank you for hearing me and listening this far, about 20 plus minutes in. I'm going to bring this to a close because, like I said, I do need to get to bed. But I want to make this more regular in connecting with you guys and being a resource that is hitting the right notes. I'm a fan of those who walk with integrity. I really am. They're the kind of people I know I can trust. I want to be one of those people, and I want to facilitate conversations where you have access as well. So, thanks for listening. Wherever you are listening in, if it's evening, have a great evening. If it's morning, good morning. Afternoon, thanks for spending time. I appreciate that. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Good night.